When I was in the fifth grade, I was in my classroom and I watched a video, and this video totally shocked me. I was mystified. I was so curious. I was blown away, and it wasn't until much later that I learned as an adult, as I studied psychology, that what so mystified me is actually at the center of this video on motivation. So I'm going to show you a video that's like the video I saw in the fifth grade. That video, of course, is long lost. I don't remember enough of it, but this little part of video on YouTube is similar to the video that I watched, and kind of inspires that same sense of wonder and sense of fascination. So let's watch this video.
As they dig, the sand around them collapses. They move up as if on a rising platform until the first heads break the surface.
These are baby sea turtles.
Their instinct is to find the ocean as quickly as possible in order to survive. Once above the sand, the hatchlings orientate to the brightest part of the natural horizon, toward the waves. It's the first fundamental journey of their lives, as they familiarize themselves with the magnetic forces of the Earth. Rather than just fixate on a north-south polarity like a man-made compass, the hatchlings imprint upon an inclination compass with which they can sense direction along the Earth's surface at an angle, rather than the magnetic poles. This orientation is crucial for the few that survive, and it's these inner forces of the planet that will navigate them later in life. The loggerhead hatching season lasts from December to May. Dusk, night, and dawn. Thousands of hatchlings head for the sea.
All right, so this is very similar. It's very similar to the film that I watched. And so I watched as a fifth grader these baby sea turtles hatched and immediately going to the ocean. And as I was watching this, I thought, how is that possible? How do they know? How do they know? Nobody taught them. No one taught them this. How do they know to go to the ocean? It wasn't until much later that I learned that it's because of instinct. It is because of instinct. And so psychologists have, from the beginning of the founding of the field of psychology, have been interested in what motivates humans. And at first, there was an assumption that humans are motivated the same way that animals are motivated. Animals are motivated through instinct. So it's through instinct that these sea turtles are able to head to the ocean when no one has told them to head to the ocean. So these complex behaviors, unlearned, a fixed pattern throughout a species. And so this is the baby sea turtles moving to the ocean. Now, it turns out that humans are not nearly as motivated by instinct. We have some instinctual motivation, but not nearly as much as animals. And so there's a lot of irony here. Ironically, even though humans, of course, are able to kind of uh, control their environment, often with negative consequences, the actual human baby is far more vulnerable than many animals that are just born, because the human baby doesn't have the programming. Other animals, they have this programming that helps them survive, but human babies are very helpless. So human babies have to adapt and learn. So human babies sort of have these brains that they use to learn, as opposed to programming. Ironically, in this sense, animals are closer to computers, because computers act out of programming and animals act out of programming. But psychologists discovered through research that it's actually not the case. It's not the case. The instinct theory is not the case. We don't act out of our motivation has less to do with instincts than animals, far less. Now there is the evolutionary perspective. We do have genetic predispositions. We do have certain genetic predispositions towards certain kinds of behavior. For example, language. Now, so the instinct theory was replaced with something called the drive reduction theory. And even though this theory claims that even though we don't share instinctual programming, instinctual motivation of animals, we do share motivation being driven by physiological need. And this you can observe this. You can observe this in yourself. You can observe this in others. We certainly do have a need. We certainly do have a need for various physiological things. And so drive reduction theory says that these needs create drives. So when I have a need for food and water, I have a drive. Hunger is a drive, thirst is a drive. And so my goal is to reduce my drive for hunger and thirst by eating and drinking. And we also have incentives. So we have homeostasis and incentives. So we try to maintain a certain balanced internal state. And then an incentive might be, if you see a commercial for a pizza, that's actually so the drive is from within, and we are pushed by our needs from within, but we're pulled. So we're pulled by incentives. So seeing a commercial can actually be pulling us from the outside. Now, this explained a lot, but this didn't explain everything. And I'm not sure if you all can see this. I don't know if you can see where I'm about to go. But this theory, while it does explain a lot of human motivation, there's a lot that's left out. So let me give you an example. Imagine that you're in a classroom. And imagine some people come into the classroom and say, okay, you're going to be part of an experiment. So you're in this classroom, and you're going to be a part of this experiment. And what they say is, in this experiment, we will supply all of your needs. So we will supply, if you're hungry, you will have food for you. If you're thirsty, we have a drink for you. If you're tired, we have these cots for you to lie down on. And so all your needs are going to be met. Now, how are you going to feel? How are you going to feel 2 hours later, 4 hours later, 8 hours later? A lot of students say, well, we're going to be bored and restless. Yes, we're going to be bored and restless because not only do we have a desire to reduce our arousal, but if our arousal gets too low, we have a desire to increase our arousal. So we get bored. So it's not a matter of just simply reducing our arousal. We want to keep our arousal within a certain state. We don't want to get too highly aroused or too lowly aroused. If we get too lowly aroused, then we will get bored. And this is also the case with many animals. Now, it turns out that some people tend to have a higher level of the optimal state to be in, and some people have a lower level of the optimal state to be in. So if you can think of, imagine if you're going to go on a break, on a vacation. Some people think of all the great things they're going to do. They're going to go skydiving. They're going to go to parties. This is a high level of arousal, and some people have a natural, their optimal arousal is much lower. Well, I want to just sort of lay on the couch, do some reading, watch some TV. So different people have different levels of optimal arousal, but we all have this desire to stay within a certain optimal level of arousal, not be too high or too low. Similar to optimal levels of arousal, within the vein of arousal theory, is something called the Yerkes-Dodson law. So the Yerkes-Dodson law says, imagine that you are studying for an exam. If you're studying for an exam, if your arousal is too low, you're going to be tired, you're going to be bored, you're not going to study enough. But if your arousal is too high, if you're too stressed out about that exam, that's also going to impede your performance. Your thoughts are going to race a little bit. You're going to have a hard time concentrating. So you want to be within this optimal level of arousal. And it turns out, if it's a simple task, you can be more highly aroused without it impeding your performance. And if it's a difficult task, you're going to hit that peak earlier, where okay, there's just too much arousal. It's going to impede your performance. So there's the arousal theory, there's jive reduction theory. Now, a man by the name of Abraham Maslow came along, and Abraham Maslow said that there's still not a theory of motivation that's comprehensive enough. And so Abraham Maslow developed this hierarchy of needs. It's a pyramid, and what he says is we have this variety of needs. We have this rich diversity of needs. However, you can organize it into a pyramid, because the needs that are lower on the pyramid, if they aren't met, they're going to supersede the needs that are higher in the pyramid. So, for example, if you're in a classroom, and let's say you want to do well. Let's say you want to do well in this classroom. You want to do well in the class, and so you go and you're motivated, and you take notes and you raise your hand and you're paying attention. What happens if the night before your neighbors have this loud party and you can't sleep at all, and you come into the classroom? What happens? Well, your desire, your motivation to perform well is going to be superseded by your motivation for rest. So no matter how much you're motivated, eventually you're probably going to fall asleep in class, because this need is going to take priority over the needs above. Okay, so this is this is motivation. This is theories of motivation. I'm going to talk a little bit more about motivation. I'll also say the last thing is Abraham Maslow was particularly interested in self-actualization. So he believed that many people end up in these cycles where they're preoccupied with the lower levels of motivation, but he found some people found a way to live their lives such that a good bit of their time is spent in the self-actualization level of motivation, in which you're trying to actualize your potential. And he encouraged people. He encouraged people to try to get in touch with their motivation for self-actualization. he actually taught in California in the last years of his life, and he found if people sort of talked about their peak experiences, if they talked about the times when they felt most alive, if students talked about that, it tended to encourage others to become more focused on their peak experiences and become more in touch with their need for self-actualization, and become more oriented towards a lifestyle in which self-actualization needs play a more prominent role. Okay, so anyway, I'll share a few more things about motivation in my next video, and then I'm going to be talking about emotion.